You feel everything: the pressure, the fear, the noise of the world trying to break your focus. But warriors don't collapse under chaos, they sharpen in it. The warrior's mind is not emotionless. It's disciplined emotion. It's clarity forged through fire. This is not about suppressing your feelings. It's about mastering them so completely that nothing can control you. This is how you train yourself to feel nothing, yet see everything. You live in a world that's built to make you react. Every beep, every ping, every post, all of it is a trap. A trap designed to pull your attention, trigger your emotions, and hijack your focus. And most people, they fall for it. Every single time. They see something they don't like. They feel anger. They explode, online, in conversations, in their thoughts. They let every little thing pull them out of alignment. That's why so few people ever rise above the noise. Because the world doesn't reward reactors. It rewards responders. It rewards those who can pause. Those who can wait that extra second before deciding how to move. That's the power most people never develop, the pause. Control is built in the pause. Not in the emotion. Not in the outburst. In that single breath between what happens and how you choose to respond. You have a choice. That's the key. Every situation gives you two doors: react or respond. React, and you surrender control. Respond, and you reclaim it. When someone insults you, your ego wants to react. When life throws chaos at you, your fear wants to react. When things don't go your way, your emotions want to react. But you, if you want to build a warrior's mind, must learn to respond. A reaction is emotional. A response is intentional. That's the difference between weakness and mastery. Between chaos and command. Between losing yourself and leading yourself. The modern world is engineered to destroy your calm. Every platform, every ad, every sound, it's noise, designed to provoke a reaction. To make you feel urgency when there is none. To make you feel anger about things that don't matter. To make you spend energy on what you cannot control. And the truth is this: you cannot build strength in a reactive state. A reactive person is a slave to their emotions. A reactive person lives in defense. A reactive person doesn't act, they are acted upon. You want to lead your life? Then you must stop reacting to it. You must stop letting everything external dictate your internal. The warrior's mind is calm, not because the world is calm, but because he is. He doesn't let the world pull him out of his center. He doesn't let people decide how he feels. He owns the space between impulse and decision. That's emotional discipline. That's real power. And it starts small. It starts when someone cuts you off in traffic, and instead of screaming, you breathe. It starts when someone tries to provoke you online, and instead of typing back, you move on. It starts when life hits you hard, and instead of crumbling, you pause. You assess. You choose. That's the difference. If I react, I lose. If I respond, I lead. That's your new mantra. Say it until it becomes instinct. Until your emotions serve you instead of control you. You don't need to feel calm to act calm. You don't need to be emotionless to stay composed. You just need to master the pause, that single moment before you let emotion drive your behavior. Because here's the truth: emotion is fuel, not fire. Fuel powers the engine, fire burns the vehicle. You can't let anger or fear or excitement take the wheel. You must control it, direct it, use it. That's what the great ones do. Athletes under pressure. Leaders in crisis. Soldiers in combat. They don't react, they respond. When the world speeds up, they slow down. When chaos rises, they breathe deeper. When emotions run high, they go quiet. Because they understand one thing most people never learn. The calmest mind always wins. Let others scream. Let others panic. Let others lose control. You stay steady. You stay deliberate. You stay dangerous. That's emotional control. That's leadership. That's power. You have to start training it now, like a muscle. The next time someone tries to trigger you, pause. The next time your instinct is to lash out, breathe. The next time you want to react without thinking, stop. Ask yourself, am I reacting or am I responding? If you react, you give them your power. If you respond, you keep it. That's the battlefield of the modern world, not outside, but inside. And make no mistake, this is war. A war for your attention. A war for your focus. A war for your emotional stability. Most people lose because they don't even know they're fighting. They scroll endlessly. They argue pointlessly. They stress over nonsense. And every reaction weakens them. But not you. Not anymore. You train your mind to stand still while others shake. You build discipline in the pause. You learn that silence is strength. That patience is power. That control is victory. And when the world comes at you with noise, you smile. Because you know you've already won. The moment you stopped reacting, you started leading. That's what emotional mastery looks like. It's not about ignoring your feelings. It's about understanding them and deciding what they mean. You can feel anger without letting it guide your hand. You can feel fear without letting it stop your step. You can feel doubt without letting it define your belief. The warrior's mind feels everything, but obeys nothing. That's the paradox of power. The more you control yourself, the less the world can control you. You have a choice. Every time. Every day. React or respond. Lose control or claim it. Be emotional or be effective. It's not about being cold. It's about being composed. It's not about being numb. It's about being unshakable. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. When you master that, when you master the pause, you stop being a puppet to your impulses. You stop letting the world drag you around by emotion. You become untouchable. Because here's the truth. The person who can't be provoked, can't be controlled. And the one who controls himself, controls everything. So, remember this. Your power lives in the pause. Your focus lives in the silence. Your dominance begins the moment you stop reacting and start responding. That's how you build the foundation of the warrior's mind. You've learned how to master the pause, the space between impulse and action. But now it's time to talk about the fuel that sustains all warriors. The world worships motivation, but it's a lie. The real power isn't in how you feel. It's in what you do when you feel nothing. Everyone loves motivation. They chase it like a drug. They wait for it before they move. They talk about it, post about it, pray for it. But here's the truth. Motivation is a myth. It's a spark, not a system. It burns bright, then disappears. It's unreliable. It's emotional. It's weak. Motivation fades. Discipline remains. That's the key. You can't rely on how you feel to decide what you'll do. Because feelings lie. They whisper excuses. They build stories. They justify comfort. I don't feel like it today. I'll start when I'm ready. I'll wait until I'm motivated. That's the voice of mediocrity. Motivation is emotion. Discipline is execution. You have a choice, to be ruled by feeling or to be ruled by principle. You can live like a thermometer, reacting to the temperature of your emotions. Or live like a thermostat, setting your own standard and holding it no matter what. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs need to feel good to perform. Professionals perform no matter how they feel. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to move. Say it again. I don't need to feel ready. I just need to move. That's the warrior's mantra. Because discipline isn't emotional. It's mechanical. It's structured. It's sacred. You wake up. You train. You execute. Not because you want to, but because you said you would. That's integrity. That's power. That's freedom. Motivation makes promises. Discipline keeps them. Motivation is noise. Discipline is signal. Motivation feels good. Discipline makes you good. You can't build a strong life on emotion, because emotion changes with the weather. You're happy on Monday, lazy on Tuesday, tired on Wednesday, and inspired again by Friday. That's chaos. That's weakness. That's a life with no anchor. But discipline? Discipline is steady. Discipline doesn't care about the mood. It doesn't check the forecast. It doesn't ask for permission. Discipline wakes up and does the work, rain or shine, joy or pain. That's the mindset that builds warriors. That's the fuel that keeps them unstoppable. Because when you remove the need to feel ready, you remove 90% of your excuses. You stop asking, "Do I want to?" and start saying, "It's time." You don't need hype. You need habits. You don't need energy. You need execution. You don't need to be motivated. You need to be consistent. That's how warriors think. They don't chase motivation. They manufacture momentum. They build it through repetition, through structure, through doing the same thing when everyone else gives up. When a soldier trains, he doesn't wait until he feels like it. When an athlete competes, she doesn't wait for inspiration. When a builder builds, he doesn't wait for the perfect day. They move because the mission demands it. You are the same. You have a mission, your growth, your goals, your purpose. And the world doesn't care how you feel while doing it. You think you need motivation, but what you really need is self-command. That's the secret. That's the edge. That's the separation. Motivation asks, "Do I feel like it?" Discipline declares, "I do it anyway." Because here's the truth. Your feelings are not facts. They're weather patterns. Temporary. Unstable. Misleading. You can't let your future be dictated by your moods. You can't build a kingdom on quicksand. You need bedrock. You need structure. You need discipline. You think warriors feel powerful every morning? They don't. They feel tired, sore, uninspired, but they move anyway. Because movement builds momentum, and momentum builds power. Action first. Feeling later. That's the code. That's the warrior's way. You don't wait for clarity to act. You act to find clarity. You don't wait for motivation to move. You move to create motivation. You don't wait for the right time. You make this time right. You have a choice. Every day, every hour, to obey your feelings or to command them. To wait for motivation or to move with discipline. And if you don't make that choice consciously, your emotions will make it for you. And they'll always choose the easy road. The warm bed. The delay. The comfort. But the warrior doesn't live there. The warrior walks into the cold, into the resistance, into the work, without asking how it feels. Because greatness is mechanical. It's boring. It's repetitive. And that's why it's rare. People say, "I wish I had your motivation." What they don't see are the days you had none, but still showed up. The mornings you didn't want to move, but did. The nights you wanted to quit, but stayed. That's not motivation. That's discipline. And discipline is not punishment, it's power. It's what separates leaders from followers, doers from dreamers, the unstoppable from the ordinary. You want to be free? Then build systems that move you forward even when you feel nothing. Structure creates strength. Routine builds reliability. Discipline builds destiny. Every time you act without motivation, you strengthen your will. You teach your body who's in charge. You train your emotions to obey your mission. And that's the real test. Not when it's easy, but when it's empty. Not when you feel like it, but when you don't. That's when you see who you really are. The world is full of talented people who quit when motivation ran dry. But discipline never runs dry. It's not emotional. It's not fleeting. It's a decision, made once, honored daily. So, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to want it. Stop waiting to be inspired. That's weakness disguised as patience. Move now. Do it now. Act first, feel later. That's how you win. Because the longer you wait to feel ready, the weaker your will becomes. And the truth is, readiness is a myth too. No one ever feels ready for greatness. They just begin. And once they begin, discipline takes over. Repeat it. I don't need to feel ready. I just need to move. That's your anchor. That's your code. That's your freedom. Motivation fades. Discipline remains. That's the law. And once you accept that, you stop living like a victim of your moods and start living like the commander of your mission. You're not here to chase emotion. You're here to enforce execution. You don't need hype. You need habits. Because when you build discipline, you don't need to rely on luck or timing. You build your own consistency. And consistency builds empires. Motivation is noise. Discipline is peace. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is eternal. When you stop worshiping motivation, you start building momentum. When you stop chasing inspiration, you start chasing excellence. When you stop asking how you feel, you start focusing on what needs to be done. That's the shift. That's the evolution. That's the awakening. You've learned the truth about fuel, that discipline drives where motivation fails. Now it's time to learn the next law of the warrior's mind. What you build your life around, your systems, will determine whether you rise or collapse. Dreams are easy. Systems are hard. Anyone can dream. Few can execute. That's the separation. That's the difference between the talkers and the warriors. You can dream of success all you want. You can visualize, manifest, imagine. But without systems, those dreams stay exactly where they began, in your head. A dream without structure is a drug. It gives you a rush. It makes you feel like you're doing something, but you're not. You're hallucinating progress. The warrior doesn't rely on feelings. The warrior builds frameworks. He builds repeatable routines that run even when his emotions crash. He doesn't wake up and hope to feel inspired. He wakes up and follows his system. Because that's what power looks like, mechanical consistency. You've been taught to chase dreams. You've been told to follow your passion. But passion without process burns out fast. Ask anyone who's ever achieved anything legendary. They'll tell you, the system made them, not the dream. Michael Jordan didn't dream about greatness. He practiced greatness daily. Kobe Bryant didn't pray for discipline. He engineered it through repetition. Every morning, same drills, same process, same standard. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. That's the truth. If your system is weak, you will collapse when life tests you. So let me ask you something. What do you actually do every day that builds your dream? Not what you think about. Not what you talk about. What's your system? Do you have one? Do you wake up with a plan? Do you track your progress? Do you follow through even when you don't feel like it? That's the battlefield. That's where warriors are built. Because here's the truth. You don't need a massive plan. You just need a repeatable one. Systems turn chaos into progress. Systems take emotion out of the equation. And that's what discipline really is, removing emotion from execution. Dreamers depend on the day. Disciples depend on the system. When you build a system, you're saying, I don't trust motivation. I trust structure. That's the key. Motivation whispers. Systems command. Motivation fades. Systems endure. The man with a system will always defeat the man with a dream. Always. Because when fatigue hits, the dreamer quits. When boredom hits, the dreamer wanders. When failure hits, the dreamer panics. But the one with a system? He stays steady. He follows the plan. He doesn't ask, "How do I feel today?" He asks, "What does my system require of me today?" That's control. That's power. Let's make it practical. If you want to write a book, don't dream about publishing. Create a writing system. Set a time. Set a word count. Set a ritual. If you want to get fit, don't visualize abs. Create a training system. Set the days. Set the meals. Set the recovery. If you want to build a business, stop fantasizing about being your own boss. Build a revenue system. Track the calls, the numbers, the actions. Dreams are soft. Systems are steel. That's how you build your fortress. Brick by brick, rule by rule, routine by routine. The system becomes your shield. Your habits become your armor. Repeat this. My system is my shield. My habits are my armor. Say it until it becomes truth. Say it until it becomes instinct. Because the system protects you from yourself. It keeps you stable when your emotions swing. It saves you from your weaker self, the one that looks for excuses, the one that says, "Not today." The system doesn't care about excuses. The system doesn't care about moods. It just asks for one thing: execution. You have a choice. Either live by your moods or live by your methods. That's the line between average and elite. Here's the irony. The more structure you build, the freer you become. People think systems are cages. They're not. Systems liberate you from chaos. They free your mind from decision fatigue. They give you time back, energy back, focus back. The dreamer spends his life reacting. The warrior spends his life executing. One wastes energy chasing someday. The other channels it into today. That's how you move from wishful thinking to disciplined action. You don't need a new dream. You need a system that guarantees progress. You need to build habits that don't break under pressure. And let me be clear, building systems isn't glamorous. It's boring, repetitive, relentless. But that's what makes it powerful. Because boredom is where 99% of people quit. And when they quit, you keep going. When they lose focus, you stay locked in. Why? Because you don't need excitement, you need rhythm. You don't need motivation, you need mastery. And mastery only comes through systemized repetition. That's the secret every top performer knows. So build your system today. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until it's perfect. Just build it and refine it as you go. Track your actions. Create triggers. Reward consistency. Make your system so solid that it runs even when you're tired, sad, or lost. That's how you win long-term, through mechanical discipline. You become the kind of person who doesn't think about doing it. You just do it. Automatically. Without question. That's the goal, to make your success inevitable through systems. So stop fantasizing about results. Start building the process that produces them. Stop chasing motivation. Start honoring structure. Because when you build systems, success stops being emotional. It becomes mathematical, predictable, inevitable. You have a choice, dream or build. Only one leads to freedom. Only one leads to strength. Only one transforms your life from chaos to clarity. And that's the path of the warrior. You've learned the truth about systems, the armor that protects your mission. But now, we need to talk about the next threat, comfort. Because systems are built through pressure. And pressure reveals who you are. So, let's go deeper. You built your shield. Now, let's expose the enemy within. Power is not loud. Power is not reactive. Power is still. The strongest mind in the room isn't the one that speaks first. It's the one that stays calm while everyone else loses control. That's emotional neutrality. That's the art of being unmoved. Emotions are tools, not masters. The warrior doesn't erase emotion. He channels it. He doesn't suppress. He directs. That's the key. Because control is never about pretending you don't feel. It's about refusing to let what you feel decide what you do. You have a choice. Every moment, every conflict, every storm. React, and you surrender your power. Respond, and you reclaim it. The modern world worships emotion. It rewards outrage. It amplifies noise. It trains you to react, faster, louder, angrier. You scroll. You see something. You feel something. And without thinking, you move. You post. You argue. You explode. That's how you lose. That's how the world controls you, through your emotions. But the warrior? He doesn't dance to emotional manipulation. He doesn't get dragged by mood or provocation. He pauses. He breathes. He observes. Because in that space between emotion and action lies the throne of power. Repeat this truth. If I react, I lose. If I respond, I lead. Let it burn into your mind. When anger rises, pause. When fear whispers, pause. When ego screams, pause. That's where the real battle happens, in the pause. The weak explode. The strong evaluate. It's not about feeling nothing. It's about not being ruled by what you feel. Because neutrality is not emptiness, it's mastery. It's the ability to see clearly while others drown in emotion. Imagine a calm lake reflecting fire. The flames rage above, but the surface remains still. That's your goal. To reflect chaos without becoming it. Here's the truth. Emotional control isn't natural. It's trained. You weren't born calm. You were born reactive. You were taught to express everything instantly. But expression without direction is destruction. You have to retrain your nervous system. You have to condition your mind to pause before participation. How? Through awareness. Through repetition. Through discipline. When someone disrespects you, don't respond immediately. When life throws chaos at you, don't react impulsively. When emotion surges, name it, then choose your move. That's emotional martial arts, using your opponent's energy to your advantage. Let's get practical. If you want emotional neutrality, start by mastering silence. Silence gives your emotions space to cool. It gives logic time to speak. Before replying to a message in anger, wait an hour. Before reacting to criticism, breathe 3 times. Before assuming offense, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's how you stay in control when everyone else burns their fuel. Because emotional energy is expensive, and you can't afford to waste it on every little irritation. The warrior conserves his energy. He spends it strategically, on goals, not gossip. On mastery, not mayhem. Remember this. Every emotional reaction costs focus. Every emotional indulgence drains clarity. You cannot build a powerful life while being emotionally impulsive. You cannot lead anyone, not your team, not your family, not yourself, if you're ruled by feelings. Because feelings change. Discipline doesn't. That's why neutrality matters. It's not detachment from life, it's dominance over chaos. It's the ability to feel deeply but act wisely. You don't need to be cold. You need to be clear. Think of it like a battlefield. The enemy wants to make you emotional. Because emotion clouds strategy. When you're angry, you stop thinking. When you're offended, you stop listening. When you're fearful, you stop advancing. That's why emotional neutrality is the weapon of warriors. They use emotion as signal, not command. Anger says, something's wrong. Fear says, there's risk. Sadness says, there's loss. Good. Acknowledge it. Then ask, what's the correct move? You don't need to fight your emotions. You need to lead them. That's the difference between chaos and control. Repeat this mantra until it becomes instinct. I feel everything. I react to nothing. That's emotional steel. That's unshakable presence. People will try to provoke you. Life will try to break you. But when you're unmoved, you win by default. You become the calm in every storm. The stillness others can't understand. They'll call you cold. They'll call you detached. But they'll also call you in control. Because neutrality confuses emotional people. They can't manipulate what they can't move. And that's your advantage. Calm is your camouflage. Here's the paradox. The less you react, the more control you have. The more control you have, the more freedom you gain. You're no longer a slave to impulse. You're no longer a puppet of circumstance. You're deliberate. You're strategic. You're dangerous, not because you're loud, but because you're centered. That's what emotional neutrality gives you, leverage. You become untouchable in argument, unshakable under stress, unstoppable in pursuit. So train this daily. When emotions rise, delay your reaction. When you feel the urge to respond, wait. When the world demands your outrage, choose silence. That's the practice. That's the discipline. It's not about suppression. It's about direction. Channel your energy where it matters. Your mission, your craft, your system. The warrior doesn't waste emotion. He weaponizes it. He turns pain into power, anger into action, fear into focus. That's mastery. That's emotional neutrality in motion. You have a choice. Be ruled by your emotions or rule over them. That's the fork in the road. The weak react. The strong remain still. The warrior watches, waits, and then strikes, not from impulse, but from clarity. So build that inner stillness. Train it like a muscle. Because the world will keep testing you, and chaos will never stop knocking. But when your mind is unmoved, nothing can shake you. You've now built calm in chaos. You've learned to see without reacting, to feel without breaking. That's emotional neutrality, the foundation of the unshakable mind. But calm alone isn't enough. You need the next weapon, patience. Because strength means nothing if you can't endure time. So let's continue. Freedom isn't free. Every victory demands a trade. Every success has a cost. And the price is always the same: comfort. That's the law of discipline. You can't have both freedom and ease. The weak chase comfort and stay trapped. The strong embrace struggle and rise free. You have a choice. You always do. You can sacrifice now or suffer later. You can choose the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. But one way or another, you will pay. That's the key. People love to dream about freedom. Financial freedom. Emotional freedom. Creative freedom. But they forget the equation behind it. Freedom is not the absence of rules. It's the result of self-rule. You earn it by trading short-term pleasure for long-term control. The warrior understands this. He sacrifices what's temporary for what's eternal. He knows every yes has a hidden no. Every decision costs something. You can't build a kingdom without burning comfort. You can't build character without choosing struggle. You can't build freedom without first building chains of discipline. That's the paradox. You must chain yourself to something before you can ever be free. Let's make this clear. The modern world sells comfort as a virtue. It glorifies ease. It romanticizes rest. It worships convenience. Everything is designed to remove effort, one-click orders, fast dopamine, instant validation. But the more comfort you consume, the weaker your will becomes. The softer your mind turns. And soon, The very ease you chased becomes your prison. The warrior sees through the illusion. He understands that freedom without discipline is chaos, and chaos is slavery in disguise. So he pays the price up front. He embraces the grind while others escape it. He chooses structure while others choose softness. Because he knows, the man who avoids struggle avoids strength. And the man who avoids strength loses freedom. Every sacrifice is a seed. The more you give up now, the more you gain later. You skip the party to build your craft. You wake early while others sleep in. You save while others spend. You train while others talk. These are not punishments. These are investments. Sacrifice is not loss, it's leverage. You trade a little now to gain a lot later. But here's the truth. Most people never experience the power of sacrifice because they stop too soon. They expect results without paying full price. They want to bargain with destiny. But destiny doesn't do discounts. You either commit or you stay ordinary. Repeat this truth until it becomes instinct. I sacrifice what's temporary for what's eternal. That's not just a mantra, that's a contract. It means you reject cheap wins for real progress. It means you delay pleasure to purchase power. Discipline is the down payment for freedom. And every small act of sacrifice, every skipped comfort, every delayed reward, is a signature on that contract. You sign it daily. With your time. With your focus. With your will. Let's make this real. Think of the athlete who trains when the cameras are off. The soldier who wakes before dawn. The builder who reinvests every dollar instead of indulging. The artist who creates when no one applauds. They all share one truth. They pay the price before the reward. They sacrifice ease now so they never have to beg later. That's why they move with peace, because their debt to destiny is already paid. The undisciplined? They live in emotional debt. Always chasing balance they never earned. Always wanting rest they didn't work for. Always envying the strong, never realizing strength is the result of sacrifice. You don't need luck. You need payment in discipline. You have to redefine what sacrifice means. It's not punishment. It's purification. It burns away the unnecessary. It removes what weakens you. When you sacrifice, you create clarity. You cut distractions. You trim the excess. You build focus. That's why the most disciplined people seem calm. They've already killed their temptations. Sacrifice simplifies life. It gives you fewer options, but stronger direction. And that's where freedom lives. Not in abundance, but in alignment. It's not about having everything. It's about needing less. But let's be clear, sacrifice hurts. It's supposed to. It's supposed to test your commitment. You will doubt yourself. You will crave the easy way. You will question if it's worth it. That's when you remember. Ease builds nothing. Discomfort builds everything. Every great life was purchased with struggle. Every free man was once a disciplined man. You can't escape that truth. You can only embrace it. You have a choice: suffer temporarily or suffer permanently. One pain liberates you. The other chains you. Sacrifice is the filter that separates wishers from winners. Wishing costs nothing. That's why everyone does it. Winning costs everything. That's why few achieve it. Most want freedom without giving up their comforts. They want strength without discipline. They want results without rules. But you can't cheat the process. You can't fake consistency. You can't bypass sacrifice. You will always get what you're willing to pay for, not in money, but in effort. That's the universal law of greatness. So ask yourself, what are you willing to trade? Will you trade sleep for progress? Will you trade entertainment for mastery? Will you trade approval for purpose? Because the world will never hand you freedom. It will hand you distractions. And it will test you daily to see if your comfort means more than your calling. But you don't need their permission. You don't need validation. You need discipline. The warrior doesn't ask, "What do I get if I do this?" He asks, "What do I lose if I don't?" That's the difference. That's the sacrifice principle in action. Remember this truth. Every great empire was built on the bones of comfort. Every strong man was forged in the fire of sacrifice. Every moment you choose discipline, you gain freedom. Because discipline isn't limitation, it's liberation. It's control over your time, your mind, and your destiny. You don't have to like sacrifice. You have to respect it. Respect it enough to make it your way of life. Respect it enough to see that what you give today determines what you can't be denied tomorrow. Freedom has a price, and you're the only one who can pay it. You've now learned the law of sacrifice, the truth that freedom is earned through discipline, not granted by comfort. But understanding sacrifice isn't enough. You must also confront its greatest enemy, the silent killer of potential. Because the moment you stop sacrificing, comfort starts creeping in. And comfort kills quietly. So let's expose it. Comfort is the silent killer of greatness. It doesn't destroy you overnight. It erodes you slowly, quietly. It whispers, "You've done enough for today." It convinces you to take your foot off the gas just a little. And that's how potential dies. Not with a crash, but with a sigh. The truth is simple. Comfort feels good, but it robs you blind. It steals your edge. It dulls your hunger. It numbs your drive. Comfort doesn't care about your dreams. It only cares about keeping you still. You have a choice. Every day. You can choose comfort, or you can choose growth. But you can't have both. That's the key. Think about every strong, disciplined, successful person you've ever admired. None of them got there because life was easy. They got there because they chose discomfort. They sought the hard path, the path most people avoid. Because they knew one truth: comfort weakens, struggle strengthens. The average person wants an easy life. The warrior wants a meaningful one. That's the difference. Comfort whispers, "Take a break." Discipline replies, "Earn it first." Comfort says, "You've done enough." Discipline says, "Do one more." Comfort says, "You deserve this." Discipline says, "You'll deserve it when it's done." It's not about comfort. It's about commitment. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you do anyway. You've been conditioned to believe comfort equals happiness. But happiness doesn't come from ease. It comes from progress. It comes from pushing yourself past limits. It comes from doing what others won't so you can live how others can't. When you chase comfort, you trade your potential for pleasure. You trade your fire for a blanket. And here's the truth. The blanket feels nice, but it will smother your ambition. Comfort is not your friend. It's the enemy wearing a friendly face. It makes you weaker while making you think you're winning. That's the most dangerous illusion of all. Let's talk about the battlefield, your daily life. The war isn't fought in the gym, the office, or the world. It's fought in the mind. It starts the moment you wake up. When the alarm rings, comfort says, "Sleep 5 more minutes." Discipline says, "Get up. The mission starts now." When you face resistance, comfort says, "Maybe tomorrow." Discipline says, "Today. Always today." When things get hard, comfort says, "This isn't worth it." Discipline says, "This is where I grow." You have a choice. Every single time. And every time you choose comfort, you weaken your foundation. Every time you choose discipline, you sharpen your edge. That's the battle no one sees, the internal war that defines who you become. Here's the thing about comfort. It doesn't look like danger. It doesn't feel like failure. It feels safe. And that's what makes it deadly. Because while you're feeling safe, you're slowly losing your hunger. While you're enjoying ease, your instincts are fading. You're forgetting what it means to fight. Comfort is a trap. And like any trap, it starts with bait. The bait is pleasure. The hook is stagnation. Once you take it, it's hard to escape. The more comfort you taste, the more you crave it. The more you crave it, the less you grow. That's how warriors die, not in battle but in peace. Not from defeat, but from softness. If you want to live an uncommon life, you must make peace with pain. You must see discomfort as a compass. It points the way forward. When you feel resistance, that's your signal. That's where the growth is. You don't need motivation when you have purpose. You don't need comfort when you have clarity. You don't need their permission, because the war you're fighting is personal. The goal isn't to avoid struggle. The goal is to use it. To turn pain into progress. To let the fire forge you instead of burn you. Every time you resist comfort, you reclaim control. Every time you choose the harder path, you earn your power. Every time you push through the moment you want to quit, you remind yourself who you are. And that's the secret. It's not about pain. It's about power through pain. It's not about struggle. It's about strength from struggle. Look at the greats, athletes, artists, thinkers, warriors. They all built their greatness the same way. By doing what others refused to do. By living in discomfort so that growth became their comfort zone. They trained when no one was watching. They practiced when no one cared. They sacrificed the short term for the long term. They chose the pain of discipline over the pain of regret. You can too. It's a choice. Every day. Do you want to feel good now or be proud later? Do you want to be comfortable or be capable? Do you want ease or evolution? You can't have both. You choose. That's the key. Here's how you fight comfort in real life. Seek voluntary discomfort. Take cold showers. Wake up earlier. Do the extra rep. Teach your mind that pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. Delay gratification. Train your brain to wait. Don't reach for the dopamine hit. The longer you can delay pleasure, the more control you have. Cut out the soft habits. Endless scrolling, late-night snacking, complaining. These are comfort traps. Replace them with habits that harden your focus. Embrace boredom. Sit in silence. Don't run from stillness. That's where mental armor is built. Repeat the mantra. Comfort makes me soft. Pain keeps me sharp. Because repetition builds identity. Identity builds behavior. Behavior builds destiny. You can't be unbreakable if you're unwilling to be uncomfortable. The truth is this. Every time you choose the harder path, you're voting for your future self. Every time you resist comfort, you're building a stronger mind. Every time you push through the pain, you're sharpening your edge. You have a choice. Every day. The warrior chooses discomfort. Because he knows, that's where the real strength lives. Comfort will keep you average. Discipline will make you dangerous. Choose wisely. You can't fight the world if you've already surrendered to your couch. You can't conquer your destiny if you can't conquer your excuses. Pain isn't your enemy. It's the proof that you're alive. It's the evidence that you're moving forward. Embrace it. Own it. Rise through it. Because the moment you stop chasing comfort, you start chasing greatness. You've learned to see comfort for what it really is. A beautiful poison. You've seen how it kills silently, how it erodes purpose. But now you know the cure: resistance, discipline, awareness. And that's your weapon. That's your edge. That's your freedom. You mastered your emotions. You destroyed the illusion of ease. Now, it's time to learn how to stay calm when everything falls apart. Focus is power. Focus is everything. In a world built to steal your attention, the ability to control your focus is the ultimate act of rebellion. Attention is your most valuable currency, and most people spend it carelessly. They give it away to noise, to screens, to gossip, to chaos. They wonder why they're tired, unfulfilled, and stuck. It's simple. Their mind is leaking energy. Every distraction steals momentum. Every notification is a cut to your concentration. Every meaningless scroll is a withdrawal from your mental bank account. You want success? Guard your attention like your life depends on it. Because it does. You have a choice. You can be a warrior of focus or a victim of noise. You can build your empire or scroll it away. That's the key. The enemy today isn't ignorance. It's distraction. The world is designed to keep you unfocused, uncentered, and unproductive. Billions of dollars are spent to hijack your mind, to keep you addicted to what doesn't matter. You're not losing time. You're being robbed of it. You're not lazy. You're overstimulated. You're not unmotivated. You're unfocused. That's the truth. And until you face it, you'll keep wondering why nothing changes. The warrior sees through the noise. He knows that focus is a weapon, sharp, precise, lethal. He uses it to cut through chaos. He points it toward one mission, one goal, one purpose. That's what separates the elite from the average. Not talent. Not luck. Focus. Distraction is the silent assassin of potential. It doesn't destroy your dreams overnight. It does it in fragments. One missed day. One wasted hour. One small, I'll do it later. And before you know it, the week is gone. The opportunity is gone. The fire is gone. You can't win a war when your weapon is scattered. You can't master anything if you're always switching targets. The power of focus is the power of depth. Depth builds mastery. Mastery builds confidence. Confidence builds greatness. But it all starts with one simple decision: to focus. Ruthlessly. You don't need more time. You need more intention. Every day, you're given 24 hours, the same as everyone else. The difference between mediocrity and mastery is how you spend them. Do you spend your day reacting to the world, or commanding it? Do you check your phone before your goals? Do you start your morning with purpose, or with noise? You have a choice. Every distraction is a test. Every ping, every scroll, every meaningless conversation is asking, how much is your future worth? Because every second you waste is a trade. You're trading your focus for comfort. You're trading your purpose for pleasure. You're trading your discipline for dopamine. And dopamine doesn't care about your destiny. Here's what you need to understand. Distraction doesn't always look dangerous. Sometimes it looks like research. Sometimes it looks like taking a break. Sometimes it looks like staying informed. But here's the reality. Distraction disguised as productivity is still distraction. Busyness is not progress. Motion is not movement. You can spend all day being busy and achieve nothing. The warrior doesn't confuse activity with achievement. He knows that attention, not effort, determines results. He focuses on what matters and eliminates what doesn't. That's the discipline most people lack. If you want ruthless focus, you must live with ruthless clarity. You can't hit a target you can't see. You must know exactly what matters, and have the courage to ignore everything else. Make your priorities visible. Write them down. Set your top 3 non-negotiables for the day. Then eliminate anything that doesn't align. If it doesn't move you closer to your mission, it's noise. If it doesn't feed your purpose, it drains it. If it doesn't help you grow, it slows you down. You don't need more apps, more hacks, or more tools. You need more discipline. It's not about productivity. It's about precision. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. Let's talk about real-world focus. Here's what you can do right now. Silence the noise. Turn off notifications. Delete the apps that own your attention. Reclaim your peace. You don't need to be reachable. You need to be reliable. Guard your mornings. The first hour of your day sets the tone for the rest of it. Don't start with other people's agendas. Start with your mission. Create focus rituals. Work in silence. Train your mind to associate certain places, sounds, or actions with deep work. When the ritual starts, distraction ends. Batch your battles. Don't multitask. It's a lie. Do one thing. Finish it. Move on. Each victory fuels the next. End your day with reflection. Review where your focus went. Did you spend it wisely, or did you let it leak away? Because awareness is the first step to mastery. Focus is a form of respect. Respect for your own time, your own dreams, your own potential. Every time you let distraction win, you're disrespecting yourself. You're telling your goals they don't matter. But every time you choose focus, you send a different message. I'm serious about who I'm becoming. You don't need their permission to focus. You don't need validation for your silence. You don't owe anyone your attention. You owe it to your purpose. The world is full of people chasing everything and mastering nothing. Be different. Be the one who commits. Be the one who finishes what they start. Be the one who doesn't get seduced by noise. Because the more divided your focus, the weaker your results. But the more ruthless your focus, the greater your impact. Focus is your blade. It cuts through confusion. It separates the essential from the irrelevant. It turns chaos into clarity. Every time you sharpen it, you get closer to mastery. Every time you let it dull, you drift toward mediocrity. So guard your attention. Direct it with precision. Train it with repetition. And use it with purpose. You have a choice. Focus, or fail by distraction. That's the key. Because here's the truth. You can't build an empire with a scattered mind. You can't lead others if you can't lead your focus. And you can't win big if you can't sit still long enough to finish the mission. Attention is power. Command it. Train it. Protect it. Say it out loud. Focus is my weapon. I use it like a blade. When your focus becomes sacred, your results become unstoppable. That's the way of the warrior. You've learned to fight distraction. You've learned that power comes from precision. But the next challenge isn't external, it's emotional. Because when chaos hits, all the focus in the world means nothing without calm. You mastered your focus. Now it's time to master your mind. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is command. That's the truth most people run from. Because it's easier to wait for a feeling than to obey a standard. But warriors don't wait. They command. The unbreakable mind doesn't depend on inspiration. It depends on instruction, self-issued, self-enforced, non-negotiable. Motivation whispers, I feel like it. Discipline says, do it anyway. And that's the difference between average and elite. You have to stop chasing motivation. Stop treating it like oxygen. It's not. It's a spark. A temporary flame. But discipline is the fire that never dies. Motivation is the weather. It changes with your mood, your sleep, your comfort. Discipline is the climate. It stays the same no matter what storms roll through. You have a choice. You can live by emotion or by execution. You can chase motivation or build consistency. That's the key. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for the right time, the right energy, the right mood. And that's why they never move. Motivation makes you feel powerful. But it's discipline that makes you powerful. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. Discipline doesn't negotiate. Discipline doesn't care about your excuses. It simply commands, do the work. Every day is a test. You either obey your feelings or you obey your mission. And you can't serve two masters. Think about the greatest soldiers, athletes, and creators. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on habit, repetition, and ritual. They show up on the hard days, especially on the hard days, because they understand one truth. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never get anywhere worth going. Motivation fades after the first obstacle. Discipline thrives because of the obstacle. That's what makes it powerful. That's what makes you unstoppable. Understand this: emotions are inconsistent. They fluctuate. One bad night's sleep, one argument, one setback, and your motivation collapses. That's why you can't trust it. Feelings are temporary. Commands are permanent. So build your life on commands. Set non-negotiables. Wake up at the same time. Train at the same hour. Do what must be done, no matter what. Because discipline doesn't care if you're tired. Discipline doesn't need applause. Discipline doesn't need reward. It only needs one thing: obedience. You have a choice. Follow through or fall apart. That's the key. Let's be real. Everyone can act when they're excited. But the real test, the real proof, is when the excitement dies. Can you still move when no one's watching? Can you still perform when you feel nothing? Can you still give 100% when your mind screams stop? That's discipline. That's command. That's what separates warriors from wanderers. Motivation is borrowed energy. Discipline is self-generated power. Motivation is hype. Discipline is truth. Here's a harsh reality. Motivation makes people emotional. Discipline makes people dangerous. The motivated talk about what they'll do. The disciplined just do it. The motivated complain about how they feel. The disciplined move in silence and execute the plan. It's not about how much passion you have. It's about how much persistence you can maintain when passion fades. You don't need more inspiration. You need more repetition. Because repetition builds trust, and trust builds momentum. When your body learns to obey, your mind becomes free. That's why discipline equals freedom. Every day is a battlefield between feeling and command. The weak let their feelings win. The strong submit their feelings to discipline. Discipline is the system that saves you when motivation dies. It's the armor that protects your purpose. It's the voice that says, "We're not stopping." And when you live that way, when you move through life with that level of consistency, everything changes. Because you're no longer controlled by emotion. You control yourself. You have a choice. Every morning, you decide who you're going to obey. Your emotions, or your mission. Let me make it practical. Here's what real discipline looks like. You do it anyway. You don't negotiate with comfort. You don't wait for readiness. You just act. I don't feel like it means nothing. The mission doesn't care about your feelings. You create non-negotiables. Set your rules. Wake time. Training time. Study time. Reflection time. These are commands, not suggestions. You follow them without question. You track your obedience. Discipline grows through accountability. Write it down. Every day you keep the promise, your strength compounds. You detach from results. Focus on the process. Forget perfection. The discipline don't chase outcomes, they master actions. You repeat until automatic. When it becomes habit, it becomes identity. You no longer try to be disciplined, you are disciplined. That's how warriors are built. Discipline is not punishment, it's liberation. When you master discipline, you no longer need to argue with yourself. You don't waste energy deciding if you'll do the work, you just do it. That's freedom. That's control. That's peace. You see, motivation gives you highs and lows, but discipline gives you balance. It anchors you when everything else feels unstable. When your emotions swing, your discipline steadies the ship. When chaos hits, discipline becomes your compass. When doubt creeps in, discipline reminds you of who you are. You don't need to feel ready, you just need to move. That's the warrior's way. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. It's proof that you trust yourself to follow through. You don't need their permission. You don't need validation. You don't need motivation. All you need is the will to command yourself. Repeat this truth. My actions don't need permission from my emotions. Because every time you act without feeling, you build strength. Every time you push through resistance, you expand your limits. Every time you obey discipline, you reclaim your power. That's how unbreakable minds are built, not through inspiration, but through execution. So remember, motivation is temporary. Discipline is eternal. Motivation fades when life gets hard. Discipline thrives because life gets hard. You have a choice: to live by feeling or to live by command, to chase emotion or to master execution. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. That's the final rule of unbreakable minds. You've learned the truth about control, focus, and discipline. But there's one more level. Because when you've mastered yourself, the world will still test you. And the only way to survive those storms is to build a foundation that nothing can shake. You've trained the body. You've disciplined the mind. Now, let's fortify the soul. Detachment is not indifference. It's power. It's clarity. It's the discipline of not letting noise become your master. We live in an age of reaction. Every notification is a bait. Every opinion is a trap. Every insult is a test. Most people fail that test because they need to react. They need to be seen. They need validation. But the warrior doesn't need it. The warrior doesn't chase attention. He commands it by not needing it. You have a choice. You can either be a reactor or a master of self-control. That's the key. The world rewards outrage, drama, and distraction. But those rewards are fake. They cost your peace. Every time you react to something meaningless, you spend your most valuable currency, focus. And every time you lose focus, you weaken your power. So here's the truth. Being unbothered isn't about pretending not to care. It's about caring deeply about the right things. Your mission, your growth, your purpose, and nothing else. When someone criticizes you, pause. When someone doubts you, smile. When someone tries to drag you into a fight that doesn't matter, walk away. You don't need their permission to stay silent. You don't need to explain your calm. Your silence is not weakness. Your detachment is not arrogance. It's precision. It's focus. It's discipline. The truth is, most people are addicted to being bothered. They crave drama because it gives them identity. They gossip, argue, and complain because they fear being irrelevant. But relevance bought through chaos is weakness disguised as noise. You, however, you're training to be different. You're building an inner fortress. You're learning the art of emotional control, and control is freedom. Say it again, control is freedom. The one who cannot control his reaction is controlled by his environment. The one who can control his reaction controls the environment. You have a choice. And every day, you prove who's in charge, your emotions or your discipline. The unbothered mind doesn't rush to defend itself. It doesn't seek applause. It doesn't beg for understanding. You don't need them to understand. You just need to execute. You will be misunderstood. You will be judged. You will be mocked. But none of that matters if your focus remains pure. Your mission doesn't require approval. That's the key. When people talk behind your back, it's because they're behind you. Remember that. You're not obligated to turn around and acknowledge the noise. You're not here to convince anyone. You're here to become someone. To master detachment, you must first kill the addiction to external validation. Every like, every compliment, every approval, it feeds your ego. But ego is a parasite. It grows stronger when you feed it and weaker when you starve it. Stop feeding it. When you detach from validation, you become untouchable. When you stop reacting, you start controlling. When you stop chasing, things start aligning. Detachment isn't cold, it's controlled. It's not emotionless, it's emotionally intelligent. You can feel everything and still respond with nothing but composure. That's mastery. That's strength. That's the art of being unbothered. So how do you train it? Here's the formula. Pause before you respond. When triggered, breathe. Don't react instantly. That's what they expect. When you pause, you break the chain of emotional control. You turn reaction into reflection. Choose your battles. Not every insult deserves an answer. Not every noise deserves your energy. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 days? 5 months? 5 years? If not, it's a distraction. Protect your peace like a fortress. Set boundaries. Say no. Cut off access to people who drain your energy. You owe no one your attention. Observe, don't absorb. You'll notice the shift when you start watching drama unfold without feeling dragged into it. You'll start seeing emotions without being swept by them. That's the discipline of detachment. Detach from the outcome. Do your best. Let go of the rest. You can control your effort, not the results. The warrior acts with intensity, but without attachment. That's the balance. You must understand this. Being unbothered is not about apathy, it's about alignment. It's not about carelessness, it's about choosing where your care goes. Weak minds scatter their attention everywhere. Strong minds aim it like a laser. Your power grows every time you refuse to be distracted. The moment you learn to say, "That's not my problem," your life becomes lighter. Because most of the noise you hear isn't even yours to fix. People will throw their insecurities at you, hoping you'll catch them. Don't. Let them fall. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to prove every point. You don't need to respond to every opinion. You just need to win the war within. Repeat this mantra. I see everything. I need nothing. That's your reminder. You see the noise, the drama, the chaos, but you stay still. You remain calm. You remain precise. When you master detachment, you master peace. When you master peace, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, the world bends around your control. So from now on, when someone tries to trigger you, don't react. When life throws chaos at you, don't panic. When your emotions scream for attention, don't obey. Observe. Breathe. Move with intent. Because the world is loud. But the warrior moves in silence. The warrior operates in stillness. And in stillness, you are unstoppable. You have a choice. You can live like the rest, restless, reactive, always chasing noise. Or you can rise above it, calm, deliberate, untouchable. That's the art of being unbothered. That's how you dominate in a noisy world. You don't fight the noise, you transcend it. You stop needing validation. You stop chasing approval. You start living from purpose. And that's when you become dangerous. Because a calm mind is a powerful weapon. You've learned the art of silence, control, and emotional detachment. Now it's time to fortify that power into something unshakable. Because peace is only the beginning, permanence is the goal. You've built control. Now you'll build the fortress that protects it. True strength isn't built in comfort. It's not forged in applause or praise. It's built in silence, in the long, lonely hours when no one's watching, when no one cares, when quitting looks easier than continuing. This is where unbreakable minds are made. Not in moments of excitement, but in moments of exhaustion. Not in times of ease, but in times of chaos. The ones who survive the storm aren't the loudest. They're the calmest. Because they learned one thing: pain is the forge, and struggle is the fire. You don't avoid the pain. You walk through it. You walk through it until it stops being pain and starts being fuel. You have a choice. You can spend your life running from resistance, or you can face it until you become immune. That's the key. The truth is, most people break because they think struggle means something's wrong. They mistake difficulty for defeat. They think discomfort is a signal to stop. But the unbreakable mind knows discomfort is a signal to grow. That's the difference between the weak and the warrior. The weak retreat when it hurts. The warrior steps forward because it hurts. You don't need their permission to struggle. You don't need the world to understand your silence. You just need to keep moving, one disciplined action at a time. Because that's how resilience is built, repetition, not revelation. Not through sudden bursts of motivation, but through daily discipline. Here's the truth few can handle. You don't get stronger by escaping pressure. You get stronger by standing still inside it. When life breaks your routine, that's not the end, that's the test. The question is never, why me? The question is always, what now? You can cry. You can hurt. You can fail. But you don't stop. That's the code of the unbreakable. It's not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's not about comfort. It's about consistency. It's not about how you feel. It's about how you respond. You have a choice every morning. To obey your feelings or your mission. The weak obey emotion. The strong obey command. That's the key. Understand this. Being unbreakable doesn't mean you never bend. It means you bend and return stronger. It means life hits you, and you keep standing. Everyone loves the idea of strength. Few love what it takes to get there. Strength costs isolation. It costs discomfort. It costs pain. That's the price of peace. That's the price of mastery. The warrior doesn't fear solitude, he requires it. Because in solitude, he meets his real self. He faces his doubts. He hears his excuses. And then, he kills them. Every repetition of discipline builds armor around your mind. Every sacrifice becomes a brick in your fortress. Every hardship is proof that you're harder than the circumstance. You don't rise because life is easy. You rise because you refuse to fall. So how do you become unbreakable? It's not theory. It's practice. Here's the framework. Accept pain as your teacher. Stop running from it. Sit with it. Learn from it. Every pain has a message. You are still alive. You are still capable. You are still growing. Pain doesn't destroy you. Denial does. Build through repetition. The unbreakable mind isn't built on intensity. It's built on consistency. Do it again. And again. And again. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to show up. Detach from outcomes. Stop measuring progress by results. Measure it by resilience. Winning is nice. But endurance, that's power. You can lose battles and still win the war if you don't quit. Stay calm in chaos. When everything falls apart, breathe. You can't control the storm, but you can control your response. The calm mind always outlasts the chaotic one. Never identify with weakness. You can feel tired. You can feel lost. But don't call yourself broken. You are not your emotion. You are not your failure. You are the observer of both, and the commander of your comeback. Every day you wake up is another chance to prove this truth. I am the calm in chaos. I am the order in disorder. I am unbreakable. Say it again until it becomes your reality. Say it again until you believe it more than your doubt. Because this world will test you. It will grind you down. But remember, diamonds are born under pressure, not praise. Fire doesn't destroy steel, it refines it. You are not fragile. You've just been told to act like it. You are not broken. You've just forgotten your power. Reclaim it. Rebuild it. Reinforce it daily. Because life doesn't reward the talented. It rewards the tenacious. The ones who endure longer than others can tolerate. There will be days when no one believes in you. Good. Because those are the days that make you dangerous. There will be nights when you question everything. Good. Because doubt sharpens faith. And there will be seasons where you feel completely alone. Perfect. Because isolation is where warriors are born. You're not supposed to have it easy. You're supposed to earn peace by surviving the storm. You have a choice, to remain ordinary or to evolve into the version of yourself that nothing can shake. That's the path of the unbreakable. It's not glamorous. It's not popular. But it's real. And it's powerful. When others panic, you stay calm. When others quit, you continue. When others crumble, you rise. You've trained your mind to obey command, not comfort. That's what makes you different. Every day you stand tall in the storm, you prove the principle. Strength is not given, it's forged. Peace is not found, it's earned. And power is not granted, it's taken. You've learned the laws of discipline. You've faced your inner enemies. You've mastered detachment. Now you've reached the final truth, the ultimate state of mental mastery, unbreakable inner strength. This is your creed now. Repeat it with conviction. I am the calm in chaos. I am the order in disorder. I am unbreakable. Because this isn't motivation. This is transformation. You've built the habits. You've embraced the pain. You've chosen the path few can walk. You are no longer the same person who started this journey. You've become something greater, someone harder to influence, impossible to defeat, and powerful beyond measure. You've become the one who can't be broken. And that is the true definition of freedom. You've learned the truth, that strength isn't found in comfort. It's found in control. The world wants you emotional, reactive, desperate for validation, but not you. You've trained your mind to feel without falling, to see without judging, to move without waiting for motivation. You've learned to master emotion, to live by systems, to cut distractions, to sacrifice ease for purpose. You are no longer chasing calm, you are the calm. You are no longer searching for strength, you are strength. Remember this, the warrior doesn't rise once. He rises every day, in silence, in struggle, in relentless repetition. Now go back into the world. Not to prove, but to perform. Not to speak, but to show. The war is not outside. The war is within. Win it. Every single day.